What kind of tomorrow do you want to shape? A connected world, working together to prosper and thrive. Training as a chartered accountant puts you in a position to make a real difference, giving you the skills and perspectives to build the tomorrow you want. Become a difference maker. Become a chartered accountant.
Sustainability isn't just about the environment. It's reshaping the future of businesses. For chartered accountants, it's now a core part of financial leadership.
Investors, regulators, and clients demand transparency in sustainability performance. Chartered accountants play a key role in measuring, reporting, and ensuring sustainable business practices.
Climate risks, carbon pricing, and ethical supply chains directly affect financial stability. By integrating sustainability into audits and strategy, chartered accountants help businesses stay resilient and compliant.
The profession is evolving. Sustainability reporting is just now as critical as financial reporting. Accountants, let's be equipped with skills to lead this change because the future is sustainable.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Lead with sustainability.
What kind of tomorrow do you want to shape? A connected world, working together to prosper and thrive. Training as a chartered accountant puts you in a position to make a real difference, giving you the skills and perspectives to build the tomorrow you want. Become a difference maker. Become a chartered accountant.
Thank you very much, Pascal, and I hope you all got insights from that. And just to show you what the Institute is doing to help you become difference makers, we've got today's webinar on the new CPD framework, just to help you as members keep your CPD up to date and what new developments that we have. So this morning we've got Masimba Makunike with the ICAS as our technical Masimba Kiweni's dad. I've just missed his title at the moment, but he's here to just to share the insights around our new CPD framework and how as professionals we should then ensure our CPD is up to date. I'll hand over to Masimba at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tariro. Very good morning to everyone. Allow me to share my screen. Tariro, confirm you can see my share screen.
Yes, we can see it, or at least I can, yeah.
Thank you so much. I think from Tariro's introduction, I'm Masimba Makunike, the ICAS Technical Manager. My presentation will focus on the new CPD framework. So I have a few objectives as part of my presentation. Objective number one, just being to provide a concise summary of the old CPD framework. Yes, we are now moving from the old CPD framework to the new CPD framework. So I think it will also be easy if we then start with just providing a summary. I know most of us we are aware in terms of the old CPD framework. But as part of my presentation, I also summarize the old CPD framework so that when I will then be discussing the new CPD framework, we'll be well aligned. Then I will also focus more on understanding the new CPD framework, covering the key changes, as well as how we then navigate as members in terms of complying with the new CPD framework. Then also, I also then discuss in terms of demonstration in terms of how members can integrate the new framework into your annual CPD planning. I will also discuss in terms of compliance and accountability. I think of late, I think we know there is also from the old CPD framework, there is a provision in terms of the 20 verifiable CPD hours that are required per each per annum as a way of compliance when it comes to the CPD. So I'll also then discuss what constitutes compliance according to the new CPD framework. Then lastly, I'll also then discuss in terms of benefits to members. I think all of us, we have a question in terms of why are we actually moving from the old CPD framework to the new CPD framework. So on that one, don't worry, I will be able to cover that as part of my presentation. So as part of my presentation, I think I have a key theme that will guide me as part of the whole presentation. So I will start with this theme. Then obviously at the end of my presentation, I think this theme will also then make more sense to you. So my theme for my presentation is from hours to impact, navigating the new CPD framework. So you would see from the old CPD framework, there were much of a hours thing to say as a member, you should at least have a minimum of 20 verifiable CPD hours. So we are now shifting from what? From hours to impact. So that one is my theme that will be guiding me as part of my presentation. So just to summarize in terms of the old CPD framework. So see, as part of the old CPD framework, the approach was primarily input-based. When I was saying input-based, you're just saying we're mainly focusing in terms of hours completed rather than focusing in terms of the impact when it comes to the activities that I have done as a member. So you would see, I think we're saying from the old CPD framework, when it comes to the approach, it was more of a compliance driven rather than competency driven. So you would see, I think most members would attend a webinar or a workshop just for the sake of getting the so-called CPD hours, rather than also looking or not even evaluating ourselves when it comes to the impact that I have then get after me having attended either a workshop, a training, whatever form of an activity. So see, I think that was the key approach on the old CPD framework. Then in terms of the CPD minimum requirements, you would see, I think there was the issue in terms of complete a minimum of 20 verifiable hours per annum. So you'd see you could get even 100 hours per annum, but I think the key requirement there was at least a member should have at least a minimum of 20 verifiable hours. I think the difference, I think, between verifiable and non-verifiable there was like, if it's a workshop, I need to have a sort of a proof that we then use in terms of to verify if you actually attended that workshop. It can be either in a form of a certificate or attendance register, depending in terms of the form of our workshop. Then there would be other things like that can be qualified as non-verifiable. For example, maybe you can be reading a business article or reading newspaper, maybe business sections, or even maybe watching business news So we see, I think it will then be very difficult to then actually prove in terms of whether Masimba actually read a business article or business section from a newspaper. So we'd see it might improve your technical your competence, but from a verification perspective, it will be difficult. Then I think obviously there was also an issue in terms of over the 3 years. I think there was also a requirement in terms of 60 accumulative of at least 120 hours over 3 years, of which 60 hours should be verifiable. I think this one, I think most of members were mainly only worried about the 20 verifiable hours per annum. But if you check, if then sum the 20 per annum over 3 years, it will then equate to the 60 hours that should be verifiable. Then there was issue in terms of 30% of the required 120 hours over 3 years should be technical verifiable CPD hours. So we also see there was also an emphasis on it's not an issue of having verifiable hours, but at least of the verifiable hours, at least 30% of the 120 hours over the 3 years should be technical. Because why I think there was risk in terms of maybe you'll be attending webinars, but workshop, but which cannot maybe even improve in terms of your technical competencies. So that guideline of 30% was as a way to ensure that in whatever form you are actually improving yourself when you come to the continuing professional development, at least there should be a balance between technical as well as non-technical competencies. Then there was also a CPD year, which was from January to December. So to see, I think as part of the new CPD framework, I would then also discuss in terms of what will be the new CPD framework, but maybe just to air out a bit here. So you'd see, I think there was also always an issue to say, maybe I need a letter of good standing. As part of a letter of good standing, I think it constituted two key things, the CPD compliance as well as being paid up when it comes to your subscription fees. So to see the subscription fees then was matching with the ICAS calendar year. Running from June to May, whilst the CPD calendar was running from January to December. So you would see, I think, from the old CPD framework, I think when it comes to from a letter of good standing perspective, there was more like a mismatch in terms of matching the CPD year as well as matching the subscriptions payment period, which was matched with the ICAS calendar year. So I think I will then discuss more when I be covering the new CPD framework requirements. Then there was also an issue to do with non-resident members. So see, I think non-resident members were expected to comply with CPD requirements of the institute in territories where they reside or work or where there are members. So see, these non-resident members were then expected to only complete the declaration form with ICAS. If not, they were then required to submit their CPD records online, like any other member, which is local members. So to see, maybe you are now you're in South Africa as a member, maybe you are doing whatever I think CPD requirements you're mentioning with SAICA. So see, the requirement there was like there's no need for us ICAS to then say do whatever CPD requirements which SAICA requires, then also do what ICAS required. So therefore, we just the request from ICAS perspective was just for a member to just do a declaration form in terms of I'm doing and I'm actually complying with my CPD requirements based on, for example, SAICA requirements. But there are other instances where other members, maybe you'll be South Africa, but you are just using your CSA designation and you are not even doing or complying your CPD requirements with what SAICA want. So in that instance, from the old CPD framework, you then also required to then fully comply with ICAS requirements the very same way the local members will be doing. So I think that was it when it comes to the non-resident members. Then from the old CPD framework, I think there were also exemption when it comes to the CPD framework. I think I'll start with the first one. I think relates to new members, which were only required to start complying with the CPD requirements a year after membership admission. So if a member is being admitted, maybe for example, 1 January 2026 as a member for ICAS, I think the requirement there was that member, when it comes to a CPD requirement perspective, I think the expectation would be to start complying starting from 2027, which is year after. I think the objective there was like such a member be actually coming straight from or actually finishing their articles. So when it comes to the continuing professional development, I think the objective there will be like, I think they're still okay when it comes to their competencies, considering that they were attached within a training office for the past 3 years, and they were being developed as part of their training. Then another exemption also relates to members over 60 years. Then lastly, I think the other exemption there was a career break. So for career break, I think there are 3 parts as part of the career break. So it can be either maybe as a member you are on an extended parenting leave. I think this one, according to the policy, it should at least be greater than 9 months. So if you're on a parenting leave which is less than 9 months, the expectation there was also to be or to fully comply on the CPD requirements. Then there's issue in terms of medically unfit. I think as part of the CPD policy, I think the medically unfit, I think was actually defined as maybe it can be physical or mental unfitness. But obviously for a member to say I'm medically unfit, I think there was also a requirement or more like a confirmation from a legal medical practitioner. So as a member can not just review yourself and say, I think I'm not fit when it comes to medical conditions, either physically or mental. Then the last thing under career break, I think, was to deal with the issue when it comes to other circumstances to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So maybe you are not on extended parenting leave, you are not medically unfit, then maybe there's other circumstances that are subject to be reviewed by what? By the CPD committee. So when it comes to exemptions, I think those were the key exemptions based on the old CPD framework. So now moving on to the new CPD framework. So I will start with the key definitions that will then also guide us in terms of the new requirements when it comes to the new CPD framework. So we'll see, I think, from my earlier discussion, I think from my earlier slide, I once mentioned that you see from the old framework, it was more like an input-based CPD approach, where it was mainly focusing on hours, right, rather than impact. So we'd see, I think, moving on for this new CPD framework, I think there is what we call an output-based measure. So this one means a method of measuring what learning has taken place by requiring members and associates to demonstrate by way of learning outcomes that they have developed and maintained professional competence relevant to their role. So see, with the from an output perspective, the key issues there is the issue in terms of evaluating or reflecting on the impact or on the outcomes based on the key learning activities that a member would have done. Then also the key issue there is relation to relevant to your role. I think we all agree that my expectation when it comes to competence development might be different as compared to other members, depending in terms of our roles. So to see, depending on roles, there are unique competency needs when it comes to the continuing professional development. So to see, I think this new CPD framework is also hammering more when it comes to your unique or role based on various career paths for our members. I think I will then also discuss it more as part of the slides that will be coming soon. Then there's the issue in terms of professionally active. So to see, I think of late I've received, I think some requests in terms of, I think I'm no longer working. So do I need to do or continue doing CPD hours? So as part of this new CPD framework, I think we actually also defined what we call professionally active. So this one means performing any function included but not limited to the following, whilst being a member of ICAS and holding an ICAS accredited designation. Example number one, performing an audit review or other assurance engagement, issuing any other certification, declaration, opinion, conclusion, or report, providing or offering to provide public accounting services. It might be consultancy services. Then providing or offering to provide public accounting services. You know that the public sector, so you might be providing services for the public sector. Then you might be a board member, committee members, directors, officers, senior employees. So committee members, depending, it might also be maybe you might also be sitting within the ICAS various committees as a committee member. Then an employee, contractor, personal sales provider, partner, director, either executive or non-executive, owner, manager, or volunteer providing service in areas such as commerce, industry, service, the public sector, education, the not-for-profit, which is the NGOs, or regulatory or professional bodies. Then there's also compilation engagement, maybe also you have your own entity or own organization that is providing compilation services or engagements. Then there is also issue to do with tax and related services, management consultant, advice offered or where public monies are being held and managed. So see, I think these are examples when it comes to being professionally active. So see, I think as part of the new CPD requirement, we're just saying if as long as you're professionally active and you then need also 200 or to fully comply on ICAS CPD, requirements. So I think key note there is also that list is not exhaustive. It's some of the examples of areas that also constitute or qualify as being professionally active. Then another key definition is reflective learning plans, which mean the documented plan whereby a member or associate regularly performs the 3 steps. Step number 1 is which is planning. Step number 2, which is doing, and step number 3, which is reflecting to record their learning and development plans and activities, both as means of demonstrating their commitment to lifelong learning and recording the necessary activities undertaken to remain professionally competent, right? So to see, I think a key change from the new CPD framework is as a member, there's now I think we discuss more also this need of now just creating a documentation, what we call a training plan, and obviously as part of the training plan, we then identify key activities that you then do as part of you then actually achieving certain competencies or areas that you might then think you want to actually do as a member or improve yourself when it comes to various competencies. Then obviously without reflecting, I think we will not have done justice. So to see, I think key thing there is after having that plan, there's also then a need to then go back and reflect in terms of maybe at the beginning of the year I had planned to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then at the end of the year, was I able to then actually complete in terms of doing those things? And when it comes also to a proficiency perspective, am I now at an expert level, advanced level, intermediate, or I'm still at a foundational level? Because I think you would see, I think the objective there would be like us then also be able to then meet whatever we then have detailed as part of the training plan. Then the key question will be like, what is an output-based CPD process? I think, like I said earlier on, the old CPD framework was an input-based CPD process. Then this new CPD framework is now an output-based CPD process. So when you are saying an output-based CPD process, we are saying as a member, you need to demonstrate competence in your unique role. So if I'm a finance manager, I'm a general manager, I'm a CEO, I am a finance director, I am a chief risk officer, I am an audit partner, I am an audit supervisor, I'm an audit manager. I think we can all agree that we have competence that are specifically unique depending in terms of our roles. Then also on top of that, I think we as professionals or as members, we have different learning needs based on these unique roles. Then also with this one, I'm saying there's no requirement to achieve certain number of hours or points. Consideration should be given to the requirements of the position, and the learning activities addresses this. So to see from the old CPD framework, we are mainly worried about hours rather than the impact when it comes to areas I want to develop myself as a member. So to see, I think with this one, there's no longer 20 CPD hours per year. Then professionals to take ownership of their professional development by following 3 stages. So to see as part of this new CPD framework, we're saying as members, we are giving you the liberty to take ownership for your own professional development. But as part of that, you need to follow these 3 stages. The first one is plan, where I was then saying I need to then, at the beginning of the ICAS CPD annual year, I need to then plan in terms of what key activities or what competencies do I need then to achieve as a member for this coming CPD calendar. Then of those activities or competencies that we have then set aside as part of your plan, you then also need to then act through what can be through courses. So I think my co-presenter will then also cover in terms of courses, what courses we're actually providing as ICAS. That also then mesh in terms of the future competencies we then expect our members to have. Then at the end, you then also need to then also reflect when it comes to your training plan, then that will then have detailed as part of the beginning of ICAS CPD calendar. Then I think, like I said, on as long as if you then meet the definition of being professionally active, you need to what? To fully or 100% comply with ICAS CPD policy. Then if you are on a career break, I think I actually discussed in terms of 3 items that falls under the career break, which is the parenting leave greater than 9 months. Then the issue in terms of medically unfit, it can be either mental or physical, subject to confirmation by a legal medical practitioner. Then the last part of that career break, it can be maybe other cases that can be viewed or reviewed on a case-by-case basis by the ICAS CPD committee. So you're saying, if you're saying you are on a career break, if it's yes, then you just need to declare reduced CPD activity required. So in this case, you're saying maybe I'm medically unfit, so I might not be able to comply with CPD maybe for the following months, depending in terms of your medical practitioner note, etc. Then if you're saying you're not on a career break, you need to what? Comply with the policy in what? In full. So I think that one is key in terms of where and when you're expected to fully comply with CPD policy as a member. Then, according to the IFAC, according to the International Education Standard, paragraph A18, I think there are other examples of CPD activities, to name a few, I think, which can include educational programs, training events, in-person e-learning seminars, conferences, etc., reflecting on practical experience, on-the-job training, performance feedback or guidance from a coach or mentor. So you might get performance feedback either from your wherever you're working, which also can qualify as a CPD activity, participant of professional boards, technical committees, sector activities, information networks, committees. I think this one, I think I also discussed it as part of being professionally active, where then discussing in terms of it might be maybe board member, board committees, technical committees, also referencing maybe I can also technical committees, for example. The issue of in terms of writing articles, papers, books of technical, professional, academic nature. I think also this one, I think as ICAS, I think we always also request for technical articles from our members as part of our ICAS magazines. So that we can also form part of CPD activities, obviously subject to the competencies that we then derive from the articles. Then researching subject matters, including reading professional literature or journals, starting from professional examinations. So to see, I think from our professional examinations. So I think we'll also then see speaking from my ISC, APC, for example. So see, I think it's now also matching, or it's also now the C of the future competence framework was actually adopted from our professional exams. So see, I think also discuss that in the next slides in terms of future competencies that we also expect for our members. Then there is also the issue of designing, developing, reviewing, or teaching learning courses. Maybe it can also maybe from an academia perspective or from an education path as a member. That can also qualify as CPD activities according to the International Education Standards paragraph 18. Then moving on, I think previously, I think we did a webinar where we then discussing in terms of the new CPD, sorry, the new competency framework, which is the CA of the future. So see, as part of that framework, I think is now also focusing more or moving away from the technical competencies, moving to the what you call the PVAS, which is the professional values, attitudes, and arguments. And you see, for example, under ethics, I think is now including all spheres. That is your personal, business, as well as professional ethics, rather than the old framework that was mainly focusing on your professional ethics only. Then also the under enabling competencies, for example, you see this issue to do with communication skills, computational thinking, critical thinking, decision making, the digital acumen. I think I would later think from the old framework under digital acumen. I think there was the issue when it comes to the information technology, referencing maybe use of email, for example. So I think I would all agree that we cannot say a person is good or have digital acumen attributes by just sending the email. Why I think these days, I think most people or anyone can actually send out an email. But we see, I think with this framework, it's now speaking to, for example, basic algorithms when it comes to Pythons, etc. So see, I think there's now improved focus areas when it comes to digital acumen. There's issue in terms of emotional resilience, entrepreneurial thinking, innovating thinking, your strategy, self-management, relational building skills, how would they relate with other people, planning and organizing leadership skills. So see what we then did as part of our CPD2. As part of the training plan, we then also meshed it with this CA of the Future Competence Framework. So as part of when a member will then be doing, I think we're then guiding you in terms of, as part of the two, we actually matched various competencies depending in terms of various career paths. Like I said, your finance manager, your auditing, your consulting, academia, etc. So to see, I think as part of Watson's presentation, I think you then also illustrate in terms of how these competencies will then link with your unique role as part of you then developing your training plan. So to see, I think these are key future competencies that we then also expect for us members. I know, I think for other trainees that are still as part of the training, I think they're actually doing that as part of the competence framework. But for the other members that qualified before adoption of this competence framework, don't worry. I think the new CPD framework will actually make you, I think, well aligned with the new trainees that actually are implementing this new competence framework. Then in terms of career paths, I think this is just examples. I think it's not exhaustive. We see there's an investment manager, financial manager, auditing and assurance, your consulting services, academic, innovating entrepreneur, technology, digital enabler, your general manager, your banking, board committee member, your public sector, for example. So to see, I think as this new CPD framework, like what I earlier said, you see, I think the key emphasis is also acknowledging that as members we have unique roles. Therefore, our expectation when it comes to continuing professional development, it might also differ. So this new CPD framework is also then taking into account that as part of the training plan development. Then obviously we'll then be asking ourselves in terms of how do we then evaluate on whether Masimba's training plan is Masimba is actually improving when it comes to whatever competencies that he then detailed as part of his training plan. So to see as part of this CPD2, you will be, like I said, this framework or two is giving the liberty to the member in terms of actually detailed in terms of what you want to develop, areas which you think you want to develop yourself, as well as actually measuring your proficiency in terms of your progression. You check the key three stages I mentioned earlier on, the issue in terms of plan, act, and reflect. So as part of your reflection, you see you'll be then measuring yourself in terms of how proficient you are in terms of the areas or competency areas that you have then detailed as part of training plan. So to see as part of the proficiency level, just ranging from 1 to 4, 1 being foundational level, 2 being intermediate level, 3 being advanced level, then 4 being expert level. So in terms of measuring the proficiency, so you would see from your professional values and attitudes, which is your ethics, for example, your relational, your ethics, for example. So we are just guided by your frequency and context. So obviously we'd all agree that the frequency, the more you do something in the context, or if it's a complex context, for example, the earlier you become proficient. So for enabling competencies, just depending in terms of your type of task, your level of task understanding, knowledge and skills needed, dependence in terms of were you doing the work alone, or you were being handled by other people, or receiving guidance from other people. Then your technical competence is just the knowledge of subject matter, application, as well as problem solving. So I think from a proficiency level, I think maybe I can use an example of a driver's license. I think maybe we might, in this webinar, maybe we might all have a driver's license, be it your class 2 or class 4, right? But we can all agree that we cannot call ourselves, or cannot all be proficient drivers, right? So to see, you can only become a proficient driver by the frequency or the number of times you drive. So if you drive once a year, you will also then take time to become a proficient driver. So that's the issue in terms of how we then measuring or evaluating ourselves when it comes to the level of proficiency. And then moving on to, I think that was just an example in terms of, for example, ethics entry level 3. I think with the old letter from the old competence framework, we were saying ethics, we cannot say Masimba integrity for Masimba. Let's say Masimba can be 1 now, then he can improve his integrity over time. You know, we are proud of ourselves when it comes to integrity ethics issues. So for things like ethics, so to see as part of this CPD 2, we should be at a 3 at entry level, despite the stage either your entry, mid management or senior management. You should be always at what? At 3, which is the advanced level. Then also what's key, you would see as part of this new CPD competence framework, ethics or professional skills or professional values and attitudes. I think this is also as a compulsory as part of your training plan. So you cannot do a training plan without professional values and attitudes. So I think it's also important to note that for the technical competencies and arguments, you can then choose depending in terms of your need, but from a professional skills, from an ICAS perspective requirement, it's compulsory for each and every member to have a training plan when it comes to your professional values. Then in terms of this, I think I did earlier mentioned it in terms of the 3 steps: plan, act, and reflect. Then this is just a guided approach in terms of how you then do when it comes to your plan, act, and reflect. You see, the first thing is which competencies are required for my role. Like I said, I think depending in terms of unique roles, our competencies or our requirements may differ. So the first step will be like, ask yourself in terms of which competencies do you require as part of your role. Then in which these competencies do I need to develop plan? Yes, you might say, depending on my role, maybe I want to improve myself in terms of relational acumen. But maybe obviously there is not, you're already good at that. You don't need any development. So obviously, from those comments that you've then determined, you then also check whether there's need for a development. Then what learning activities can I undertake to address this? Now, in this case, we are now saying so digital acumen, maybe as ICAS, part of ICAS courses, they might be maybe it's AI for accountants. So you might say as part of me getting this competence, I will do this ICAS course. Then undertake the learning, obviously you're now doing the course. Then did the learning activity address the need? At the end, after doing the course, we're now seeing, depending on the learning outcomes for the course, where the learning outcome be able to actually cover the areas or the areas of development when it comes to the digital acumen thing. So that is what the guided approach when it comes to you then actually doing your training plan from a planning stage up to a reflection stage. Then this was just an example. This slide is just an example in terms of, like I said, ethics is key and should always be part of our training plan. This was just in terms of opportunities where you can actually reflect for ethical reflection. It can be staff meetings, board meetings, committee meetings, client meetings, training opportunities created by taking a newspaper article that you read the morning and discussing it with your staff in a daily catch-up meeting. When you are faced with an ethical dilemma, reflect and make a point of sharing it with your staff or fellow members to allow learning opportunity. So it's not just saying, it's me, maybe I discovered this ethical dilemma, I might not share with Masimba. So as part of sharing with other people, we then also assist you in terms of from a reflection perspective. Then the issue in terms of coaching, the issue in terms of analysis of different case studies, there's an issue of attending our formal ethics training, the sales provider. or even within your organization, you might also be maybe do some or conduct some code of conduct training. So it's part of opportunities for what? For ethical reflection. The question will be then, how do they reflect? You can seek input from others, identify the ethical issues, consider the short-term and long-term implications, consider different perspectives. For example, you can say if this had happened this way, what would be the implications, for example? Resolve ethical tensions, apply the ethical theories and principles, assess intention and motives, examine cultural and societal norms. It's also important to also then examine the search. Then just an example in terms of guidance when it comes to how to reflect on ethics. So you can say, ask yourself in terms of, is it legal? Is it in line with the entity values? Is it fair towards all stakeholders? So it's just not an issue of saying, it's Masimba, I don't like this. This is not ethical to me. So there's also need to consider from other stakeholders, is it fair towards other stakeholders rather than just yourself? And also lastly, ask yourself in terms of, can it be also be disclosed? Maybe for future references or for actually for assisting other people if they know, if they then also encounter such an issue. Yeah, these were just examples in ethical dilemmas, land distribution, healthcare, corruption in government, freedom of expression versus hate speech as an ethical dilemmas in Zimbabwe. Then I think an example also in terms of how to reflect on ethics. So an example, this example is just saying maybe you attended a monthly staff meeting in 2023 and you work for a company in the pharmaceutical industry and you recently developed a drug which was approved for use in a specific medical condition by the relevant regulators. However, the company's marketing representatives reported how they promote the drug for off-label uses which are not approved. They claim, for example, that the drug is effective for treating a different condition for a different patient population not covered by the official approval. So yes, the drug was approved for certain use. Then the promotion, so we are now actually claiming or using that very same drug for other or treating other conditions which were not specified when that drug was actually introduced. So they obviously will be saying we are now identifying and evaluating potential ethical issue will be like the promotion of the off-label drug uses or a significant ethical concern. So we're saying by marketing a drug for uses not supported by scientific evidence or regulatory approval, the company is compromising what patient safety, informs consent. So there is also a risk that maybe it might not yield the objective or the intention in terms of the client conditions or the. So in terms of that, we are now saying, is it legal? From my previous slide, we were saying you just need to ask yourself, is it legal? Obviously, you can say it's illegal. But what is key there to also notice that just because something is legal does not mean it is ethical. And if something is illegal, it does not necessarily mean it's unethical. Therefore, there's also need to apply the entire reasoning process to conclude whether the dilemma is ethical or not. So obviously, like I said, there's also need to consider other stakeholders. For example, your company values. So if your company values integrity, also this conduct does not comply. If it's the transparency, the promotion of false and misleading information will not align with such information. Then also patient centered is part of patient centered is part of your firm value. So see certainly that issue not also be what in accordance with your firm value. Resolution, obviously, there was after the meeting discussing the matter with CEO of outlining my reasoning, the following action were implemented. A disciplinary warning was issued to all relevant marketing representatives. The matter was disclosed to the public, including actions implemented to prevent any further reputational damage. Then training was also scheduled so that we make sure that we are all aligned when it comes to what? To ethical requirements from any organization perspective. So I think we'd see that's just an example of a scenario that actually happened where there was an ethical dilemma. Then obviously the ethical dilemmas, like I said, it then also varies depending where you work, your roles, etc. But it's also key to then also reflect when you then encounter a certain ethical dilemma. Then moving on to my last section of my presentation is members' benefits. Obviously, as members, we're asking ourselves in terms of what do we then benefit from this new CPD framework. The first benefit will be more value than hours alone. So we see this one is now focusing CPD on what you can do better, which is more like a competence outcome rather than simply completing a required number of hours. So reflect, you will see other members actually attending your webinar for the sake of just getting maybe one CPD hour or one CPD verifiable hour. But with this new framework, it's no longer just an issue of compliance with hours, but it's now more like meeting or making sure that members are well improved when it comes to their technical or their competencies developmental areas. Then there's issue in terms of a stronger alignment to professional standards, encouraging CPD activities that map directly to ICAS competencies. Like I said, those are CA future competencies that we expect as ICAS, and improved relevance to your role. So this new CPD framework supports learning that is tailored to your actual job requirements. Then there's also better quality assurance, issue of supporting continuous improvement, helps with career development planning. Outputs can be linked to development plans, goals, mentorship goals, progression into higher responsibility roles. So this will then also improve members as part of their career and development planning. Then lastly, then reduce the tick box. Less incentive to attend activities that don't translate into improved performance while still allowing flexibility in choosing learning. So I think we see this will then allow you to make sure that you improve yourself. You do what improve yourself rather than just attending something that doesn't improve yourself. So I think I took more time as expected. I'm seeing my moderators now also waiting for us to then move to the next presenter. But in summary, I think that was my presentation. I think looking forward to the question and answer segment. Over to you, Tariro.
Thank you very much, Masimba. I think you had a lot to unpack, so I did allow you to exceed your time a bit. It is quite relevant, and I think what is key is from hours to impact. I think that's a very good theme, considering where we are coming from and where we want to go. Looking into the CA of the future, I think there's a lot that we need to also unpack in terms of how this should be done. I'll encourage all the attendees to please put your questions in the chat box, so at least our Q&A session can then be shorter and can flow, and we'll then know who to direct certain questions to, either Masimba or our next speaker, who is Watson Shaba, the head of our digital section at the Institute, who will just take us through the practical process of uploading the hours, what you expect to see should you then log in to your learner management system, and how to then input certain things. So I think that will just make it a bit more practical for this session. And then you can then practice more is when you go back to your various areas. But over to you, Watson, just to take us through this section. Thank you.
Thank you, Tariro. I am Watson, and I'm going to be taking you through the practical side of the new CPD competence framework. So let me just share my screen. Okay, right. So what we did is we managed to integrate our CPD tool with our ICAS member management system, commonly referred to as MIS, and also our learning management system. Right. So the reason behind is that we would want us to have a situation whereby our members do not necessarily need to have so many accounts which they can use to access our platforms, but rather their membership account is the account that they use to access the learning management system and the CPD module as well. So how to access the system is you visit the ICAS website and then you log in. After successful login, you're going to see this page where you can click on your name here and click on my account. Right, so from my account, that is where we see all the options. That is to say, this is where you manage all your membership, you pay subscriptions, apply for any other membership as well, and courses as well. So within the ICAS account page, your account page, you're going to see a button here, Return Online Courses Portal. Right, so you click it and it's going to generate login keys for you to be able to access the learning management system. Right, so I'm going to be keeping on talking about the learning management system because the CPD module is system is a module within the learning management system. Right, so from the learning management system here, this is the landing page. We've got our navigation menu where you've got also your courses, your learning plans as well. So for today, we're only going to be looking at the learning plans, which Masimba touched on. So to create your learning plan, you click on learning plans, right? So from there, you're going to see a list of the learning plans that you have already created within the system, right? So you're going to be creating learning plans on an annual basis for you to be deemed as compliant. So the minimum is one learning plan in a calendar year, right? So to add the learning plan, you click on add new learning plan here, right? So you're going to give it a name. So remember, you can name it how you want so that you can be able to identify it later on. So for example, this is the CPD demo learning plan, right? So description this here is just maybe, I'm just going to maybe talk about what I want to learn within this learning period. This is just a brief description to say maybe I want to be able to be competent so that I can do computerized audit in cybersecurity. So this just is going to be there just to remind you to say, when you created this learning plan, what was in your mind? What did you want to achieve in that particular learning period? So there's an optional function here where there's due date. You can either set your learning plan to have a due date. So remember, there are those who actually rotate. For example, in this first quarter doing audit, in the next quarter doing something else. So you can set a learning plan to have a due date to say, I want to be competent. This learning plan should be complete in the next 3 months, or you can leave it blank. If you do not enable a due date here, it's going to default to the 1-year period, that is from June to next year, May. So this is just an optional feature here. And the status, if you set it active, we as ICAS now we are able to view your learning plan, but you set it as draft, it's still sitting with you as the creator of the learning plan. But generally, you can just create your learning plan as active and then click on save changes. Right, from there, you're going to see a message, a success message saying learning plan has been created. Now, so remember, we talked about the new competency framework to say the CPD, the learning plan nowadays are for you to are competence based and are no longer based on a number of hours. So if you create your learning plan, you are also required to add the competencies that you want to learn in that particular period. So after creating your learning plan, you are going to see a button here, return add competency, right? So you click on that button, add competency. It's going to show a list of competencies under chartered accountant, right? So if you're public sector, you click on public sector professional accountant. If you're chartered accountant, you click on them. And then we've got different sectors that have got their own competencies. So for demonstration, suppose I'm in academia, I'm going to click on academia where I'm going to see PVS, enabling competencies and technical competencies as well. Right, so remember, For every learning plan that you create, you are required to have something under professional values and attitude. So for example, I'm going to click here on business ethics, right? I move over to my enabling competencies. I want to learn about planning and organizing, digital acumen. I want to learn about maybe cybersecurity and data analytics. So yes, am I still audible? I think I had been putted out.
We can hear you now, Watson.
Okay. And is my screen still visible?
Yes, it is.
Great. So after adding your competencies, you're going to see a list of the competencies that you have added in that learning plan. So by default, we are saying you're not proficient. The status to say it's not yet rated anything. These are the competencies: business ethics, planning, data analytics, up to cybersecurity. And from the actions there is, you click on there, you can click to delete your competence. For maybe you click that competence by mistake, or you can find courses. So the find courses option is, we've got a number of courses in our learning management system which are there to support you through the CPD process, development process. So for every course that we create, we add into the LMS, we add it to a particular competency. So for example, I want to learn anything about business ethics, the system is going to suggest me the courses within the LMS that can help me to achieve that particular competency. So I'm also, maybe after my demonstration, maybe I'm just going to just show you a bit about the list of the courses that we have, but also mostly for almost each and every competencies, we've got courses in our LMS which members can access so that they can do the CPD processes. Right, as I proceed with my learning plan, I can also add other competencies. So for example, initially during the beginning, I had planned to learn on 4 competencies, but now I feel like maybe I want to add 2 more. I can always come here and beg to say 8 competencies, and the process generally the same. Right, and I can put comments as I progress to say business ethics, just a comment which is relevant to this learning plan that I want. Maybe it can help me when 3 months down the line when I view this learning plan. And now if you click on the competency there on business ethics, for example, you are going to see this page which shows up, right? You can also comment per competency here. If I put a comment here, it's going to only show when I open this competency, right? But also remember, there's the process of rating yourself, like Masimba was talking about. That is from level 1 up to level 4. So for example, I might now feel like I'm a 3, guided by that chart which talks about when does one believe that they are 3, which is a link that you are going to be putting on the system, so that maybe you can always refer to as, how do I now feel like I'm an expert, right? And you can put notes here. This evidence notes, anything which is relevant or which speaks to this particular competence, and then you can say rate, right? So this is level 3, like we said, for professional competencies for PVS. Level 3 going upwards, level 3 and level 4 are deemed as proficient. And you can also put the comments to say, maybe I would want to redo this in my next learning plan, right? So that maybe it can just help you to say, I would want to do this maybe in the next learning plan. It reminds you to say, I'm competent, but I feel like maybe there's need for me to continuously do this competence, so that maybe I can be more competent as well. And you can see here there's a review status. So this option here is only for those who might feel like maybe they need mentorship, to say you might have a learning plan and you might choose your mentor. So I've also enabled the mentorship module, which is not a compulsory thing in the system, to say I can create my learning plan and I choose someone to be my mentor. Maybe I choose Masimba to be my mentor. When I rate myself, I can always request a review for them to say, do they feel like we're on the same page, or am I progressing as they're expecting? But for the general users who do not require mentorship, they can always just come and rate and do not request and review them. Right. So as you can see now, the progress is now there. I'm now competent in 1 out of 4 competencies. Right. The rating is now showing. Right. So the same applies for the other competencies as well. But also remember now, we need to submit evidence for our learning plans. That is to say, I'm saying I'm competent, but where is the evidence? Because we as ICAs, we also need to monitor those learning plans as well, to say what are people really doing to achieve these competencies? How are they rating themselves to say we are now competent? So there's an option to submit evidence. So the first option is, if you do the courses within the LMS, within the LMS or within our system, it is going to automatically add that course after completion as evidence to your learning plan. So that is to say, once you complete a course, it's going to add that course, that evidence, to attach that evidence as evidence in the system. Because remember, like we said, every course that we create, we link it to a particular competency. So once you add your competencies to the learning plan, you do a course which satisfies that competency, it's going to add that course as evidence, right? But also suppose the second method now is you've done your courses or your CPDs somewhere else, which is outside the LMS, and you've got verifiable evidence, or it can be non-verifiable, but you need to capture it. You need to come here to back to the landing page of the learning plans. You come here, you click on evidence of prior learning, right? You click on add new evidence, right? So for example, this was CPD demo, right? You put a description here. What was it about? So there are some evidences where they can be verifiable through a new URL link. You just give us the web address. If I click on it, it's going to say maybe Ningi as an attendee, or maybe this so-and-so person was actually completed this particular course. Or you can upload. So this is this is not a required field, but you can also upload a file. So for example, it's a certificate. I know nowadays for most of the courses that you are doing, we get those online certificates or certificates of attendance. You can always come here and say, this is the certificate that I have, my set, right? And then you upload this file. But also remember now, all right, let's click on save changes. I have uploaded my file. But also remember now, this was the evidence which was done outside the LMS. So you now need to tell the LMS to say this evidence was for this particular competence. So you're now going to link that competency, that's evidence, to a competency. So it's going to open the learning plan that I have, which is CPD Demo LP. It has got 4 competencies here. And this certificate, it has to do with planning and organizing. I come here and select planning and organizing, and then I select on add. So now my evidence is successfully linked to my competency. So if I come here to my learning plan, right, demo learning plan, planning and organizing, I come here, you are going to see now there's evidence here, right, which was linked. So this is generally how you create a learning plan, add competencies to the learning plan, and also submit evidence to the learning plan. So I'm sure maybe because this is just a demo which is timed, but as you make use of the system, you're going to find it generally easy to use and easy to track as well. But we've also created quite a number of videos and user tutorials on how to guides, that is to say, how to create a learning plan, how to add competencies, how to rate yourself. There are so many videos that you can always make use in terms of how to use the system. And also within the LMS or within the CPD module, you're always going to be coming through this chat with us module, where you can always type your query, right? Training records, or be it CPD, you select the appropriate query, you put your subject, and we can assist you if you face challenges. But also I talked about courses, right? If you come here and you click on all courses, you're going to see the list of the courses that we have. So yeah, this is the ICAS courses. This is on artificial intelligence. So you click it expands, shows you the courses under that particular category, which is artificial intelligence. So now, like Masimba was saying, digital acumen, we no longer rate you in terms of sending an email. It's something which is just generally basic, something which anyone can do. But competence, when it comes to digital acumen, we talk of these things. That is how to enhance audit with AI tools for accountants. We've got also quite a number of Excel courses, project management, leadership, up to ESG, digital and technologies there as well. For those who are into software development, there's Python, there's data analytics, cyber risk management. So these are all courses which can assist you to satisfy your CPD requirements. And remember, once they are done within the system, they are automatically linked to the learning plan after successful completion of the evidence. So if you come here, you click on this, it's going just to expand to say, what is this course about and what are the learning outcomes, right? So yeah, I think generally this is all about the CPD module from the practical side. It's back to you now, Tariro. Thank you.
Thanks, Watson. Thank you so much. I think seeing that visually would assist quite a number of people in knowing what to do. But I would actually encourage all of you to go through the LMS system and just play around with it, familiarize with it, see how it works, and you can then update. Just a confirmation, Watson, are all members able to access this now?
Yes, all members can access the system. They just need to go onto my account and click on online learning.
Okay. No, so you are all free to go on your to log in to the website and just also now plan your CPD and see what is relevant for you. And I actually like the fact that there are specific programs that you can actually go through within that LMS. So feel free to also advise your secretariat on the various areas that you feel are not addressed in the LMS. So each individual can then also be attended to and also find what is relevant for them. Just also to confirm that this recording will be available for future reference for you to then just go through, and feel free to make use of the various videos that are also within the LMS for you to then update your CPDs and see how things should be done should you need the help. Also do give us feedback by filling in the feedback form that is being posted in the chat on this particular webinar. There's also a question on, do we have minimum hours of CPD for the learning goals? So I think this is now trying to link with the previous, let's just say with minimum hours, but maybe I'll ask Masimba to comment on that. Do we have minimum hours of CPD for learning goals?
Thank you, Tarero. I think with this new, referencing my key theme for my presentation, we are now moving from hours to impact. So we are no longer saying 20 verifiable hours, but we are now rating your proficiencies based on your training plan. And as ICAS, you will be also reviewing the training plan for approval. So it's not just an issue of just maybe having one competence for the whole year. So your training plan is subject to approval by ICAS.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving from hours to impact. So we need to then have the evidence, no longer about, it can even take you 5 minutes to get a competence. It can take you an hour to get other competences. So I believe it's based on your learning ability and on the actual competence you'd want to meet. Feel free, guys, to have your questions in the chat. If there's anyone who would like to ask a question directly, feel free to raise your hand as well. I think I can call up on you to then ask your question. Just a few key takeaways. I think the theme from hours to impact. So basically, I feel like it's also linking the CA of the Future training program and also ensuring that the CA of the Future is maintained. So it is quite necessary to then move to this particular platform because it's also relevant to your chosen career path. I think that makes it even more interesting and relevant. And you will then also be keen to then see to your own personal growth. Plan, act, and reflect. That is quite key. And under reflection, I feel most of us skip that part totally in our training. At least I know I do sometimes because you're then stuck in all the time, you're stuck in meeting deadlines, you're stuck in just your normal things, but also just know that it's not your journey alone. Allow other professionals to help you, have mentors, the people you work with, so it then becomes relevant and you're also growing in this dynamic world. I'm not seeing any more questions or any hands at this point in time. Oh, okay. There is a question around winter school. It used to give 12 CPD hours from attendance of winter school. So what will then happen going forward, looking at this new CPD framework, and what winter school would then contribute to our learning as professionals? Masimba, any comment to the question around winter school?
Thank you, Tara, for the question. Yeah, I think winter school will be in July, end of July. And I think the implementation effective date of this new CPD framework will be 1 June 2026. I think, like I said, we've now matched the CPD calendar with ICA's calendar so that when we be discussing the issue of later or member in good standing, to then match the subscription payments 1 June to end of May, same as the CPD compliance 1 June to. But what we are doing is ICA's, we are actually doing or implementing the frameworks concurrently. Why I think you would see, I think some actually did some verifiable CPD hours beginning of the year, etc. But our request for members is for them to create their training plan so that at least 1 June 2026, we will be actually fully implementing the new framework. So I do believe, obviously from winter school, you will definitely get some competencies. So don't worry about the issue of hours, but worry about the impact when it comes to the competencies. Thank you. Sorry, Tari, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. So yes, we'll also look at it from a CPD point of view as the committee to see the impact that winter school will have based on the various topics together with Secretariat. So at least that will then be communicated. There's also a comment from Kudzai Nyamboya. Thank you. You were recently admitted, but on your profile, you have CPDs due for 3 years. What do you need to do? I think, Kudzi, maybe just to assist from what I understand, and Watson and Masimba, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We are still in the period of the old framework where there was the requirement for the 3 years, 20 hours verifiable, but we're now moving to the impact framework where you now need to do as what is being discussed today. So Watson, if you could just advise if that will then be edited in the profiles or what will happen going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tari. So currently we are still on the old framework, but as we transition, starting from 1 June, it's going to move on to the new competence framework whereby we are no longer requiring the hours. So for those who are recently admitted, for now, recently admitted, they are exempted from creating learning plans up to June. That is, they are compliant for now. They can always get in touch with better if they're facing any challenges, maybe when it comes to generation of letter of good standing. But starting from 1 June going inwards, that is when the profiles are no longer going to be requiring for those hours from going onwards, but rather they are going to be requiring for you to have a learning plan. So yes, back to you, Tarino. I don't know, Masimba, if you want to add anything.
I think well aligned to us, nothing to add. Okay, I think Tarish. Okay.
Hi, Masimba. I think Tari has been voted out for now. And I think if there are any questions, I'll take them up. Can I upload evidence of training that I would have completed at our audit firm that aligns with CPD framework? Maybe upload the certificate of completion, Masimba.
Yeah, thank you, Pascal, for the questions. Yes, you can actually upload your evidence if it's something which is outside ICAS courses. I think also as part of Watson's presentation, I think if it's anything in relation to ICAS courses, there's no need to upload. Why? Because automatically to then update on your learning plan. So the better part, if you do any course which is ICAS related, it is automatically updated to your training plan. And if it's outside ICAS, there's need for you to actually upload the certificate as a verification or as a evidence for a certain competence that you have detailed as part of your training plan.
Okay. That's great. And I think another question Charity is asking, will the courses available on the platform be free? Watson or Masimba?
All right. Thank you, Pascal. I think the courses are not free, but I can say they are relatively cheap, with the cheapest, the less expensive being $20 and the most expensive being $155. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think there are no more any other questions. But if you have questions, guys, make sure that you just post them. Just utilize the support emails that you have been given, and they will be addressed by the team. And try to make sure that all the other things that you need prior. That you need from ICAS that relates to your CPD, get in touch also with CPD at ICAS and other support emails that you've been given, and make sure that you are in line with your CPDs. And as of now, I'd like to thank our speakers. I think Watson and Masimba for the information that you have given to the members, as well as our moderator. I think she has been booted out for a moment. But thank you so much, Tari, for moderating this, and from the ICAS team that have organized this whole webinar. And as for upcoming events, currently as the Institute, we have webinars that are coming in over and over. Just make sure that you are up to date. You're up to date from our social media pages and also our website, so that you get to know what's coming next and what's there. And also for the upcoming events, I think the winter school that was being talked about, make sure that you have registered for the winter school. We have the public sector convention that is coming up, open for sponsorship and open for attendance as well. That's coming up in June, and as well as the Blawayo Sustainability Breakfast, when we are going to discuss about the roadmap that PAAB issued out. So make sure you just get to our website and our social media pages, be updated with all the upcoming events. And I think as of today, we can call it a wrap. Enjoy the rest of the day and have a great
isn't just about the environment. It's reshaping the future of businesses. For chartered accountants, it's now a core part of financial leadership.
Investors, regulators, and clients demand transparency in sustainability performance. Chartered accountants play a key role in measuring, reporting, and ensuring sustainable business practices.
Climate risks, carbon pricing, and ethical supply chains directly affect financial stability. By integrating sustainability into audits and strategy, chartered accountants help businesses stay resilient and compliant.
The profession is evolving. Sustainability reporting is just now as critical as financial reporting. Accountants, let's be equipped with skills to lead this change because the future is sustainable.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Lead with sustainability.